Okay, so the military should be able to disable this unit. Okay, yeah, this is an entity. This is actually making this, turning it into a dead zone, because both of these houses appear to be dead zones. Okay, which basically means that some sort of government officer or somebody who has this technology or information knows how to block signals and even create their own like Faraday cages, okay, which prevents signal detection. So like if military were going across, they wouldn't be able to detect the anomalies, okay, because these military officers who are involved in this deep state trafficking nonsense bullshit, they play a key role in covering up the electronic transmissions so that the good guys can't figure it out, okay? Because it goes undetected. It's signal jamming and electronic interference, you know, by military grade skill. So there is a house up the hill. You guys can't see it. This house is being surveillanced. There's actually two houses right here. They're both being surveillanced. I think both of these houses are involved. These are the houses at the top of the hill on the mountain, okay? Some of the richest people live up here at the top of the mountain. I don't know if you can see this. You guys can't see a whole lot of shit right now, but that's okay. I just mostly wanted to show you guys the scanner. This is a police, it's like a police satellite, okay? And it's weird because it's just sitting here in this weird obscure place. I'll be honest with you, it's weird as fuck. To me, that's just pure evidence. Like, so I need confirmation from the satellite or from the surveillance team that you guys got the information you need right here. Do you guys have all the information? You're able to get what you needed? Am I close enough? So am I free to go? Okay. I am free to go. They just told me I needed to go so far, just enough so I can get close enough so that they can get the signal, because this is the last house right before the mountain. There's no other house after this. So literally this person's backyard is the mountains, okay? So if this was some sort of military officer, so I was picking up in my cards emperor. So this usually typically means somebody who holds a position of authority, a government officer. They could be a narcissist, they may not be, but because it appears as a dead zone, usually dead zones, we call them dead zones because all the lights are out, you know, cars are there, but nobody's home. All the lights are out, it looks like nobody's there, right? Okay. There's nothing living going on over there, and that's why we call them a dead zone. Okay, so we got surveillance moving in. Cool. I will move up just a little bit to get some more exposure. So I've been doing this training, which is essentially what we're doing is scanning, not only doing spiritual scanning, but electronic surveillance scanning. Oh wow, check this out, you guys. Oh, you can't even see this shit. I wish you guys could see this, but this is like a road up the hill to this dead zone house, and then there's a trailer, an RV sitting right out front. I bet you they do all sorts of crazy shit over here. Y'all, the rich people are some of the most evil motherfuckers. In fact, it's, you guys, I ain't gonna be real. I'll be real with you, but I'll tell you what. Pretty much anybody who makes above a certain amount of money every year, they're probably, you can literally count them automatically suspects, because most of the businesses within our structures and societies and commerce, we don't even need that shit, and it actually causes more of a tort than it does actually equity. And so that means that most of the people who are making most of the money in our society are actually making this money off of inequitable products and services, you know. And so it's like, oh, they're sitting here being rich as fuck, but the whole time we're just being abused by these people anyways. You know what I mean? Depending on, you know, what product and service we're talking. But regardless of all that, open, there's another one. You guys, it's so crazy how much activity I've seen. I don't know if that's a satellite. I don't think it's a shooting star. I don't think it's surveillance either. Surveillance usually flashes. Is that surveillance? I'm not seeing surveillance, I'm seeing satellite. So there's been a few satellites that have gone up overhead. I have been watching the surveillance teams. They've been following me this whole time, yo. Like, no fucking joke. Like, following me everywhere and even communicating with me through Morse code. It's been like amazing. This whole experience has been so amazing. Okay, and then so there was one satellite going in that direction. Now there's a satellite going in this direction because they're literally picking up. They've been doing infrared and sonar and then electronic surveillance. So they're monitoring all of the electronics in the area. And this is why they needed me to come to get close up enough, because if I get close, it breaks their firewall. So has the firewall been broken right here? Okay. We're seeing surveillance overhead. Is the firewall broken here? I need your guys' confirmation. Okay, I got confirmation from the little guy. How about this one? Is it good? Yes. And that was a very soft yes, like a final yes. So you guys send me a ride, please. Send me a ride. They can either stop along the way or I'll look on the social media app. Just have somebody reach out to me. Because what's occurred to me, y'all, as I went through all of this, was so crazy about it. And one last thing, I will step over there to that mailbox, and then I'll turn around just so you guys can get the north of this, and then that way you'll have more up the road. Okay? Cool. Sorry, I've been going really far from. But y'all, I ain't even gonna tell you, like, this shit cracks me up because I'm over here looking crazy as a motherfucker, but all of my intuition and all of my everything is like all being confirmed. Like, it's been amazing. And not only that, but even the celestial bodies have been literally, like, every time I had an inkling or an intuition about a particular house, a shooting star would go over it. No joke. Especially if it was like, oh, somebody's dying in that house, like a child. Because we've been mostly doing spiritual and electronic surveillance for child trafficking. So we're basically searching right now through this whole neighborhood. We've been doing basically an exercise that I've been leading this whole time. And are you guys, that one's surveillance? How about you? Surveillance? Yep, that one's surveillance. So I usually know if there's surveillance if when I ask them, they blink one time. One time is all it takes because one is a yes. How about you two? Surveillance? Yes, that one's surveillance. Surveillance? Yeah, a lot of these are surveillance. But they've been flying around me all night. I've been watching them, talking to them. I've had a few of them that I'm like, it's surprising to me how expressive they are. And even if it wasn't a satellite and it was just a star, it was like, dude, that star was literally radiating to the, like, in response to my vibration. I was communicating with these stars. That's literally what it was like. So I see somebody coming up the street now. Do you guys see that light? I don't know who that is, but I have a feeling that because I broke the firewall, they're bringing somebody through here to check it out because they're like, oh, fuck, you know? Like, oh, fuck. I literally broke the firewall just walking up into it. It broke all their shit down, you know? Because one of the things that we was coming to find out is one of the things that they were doing was they were using my phone to put, like, encrypted data into it to where they would literally take whatever it was they were doing to project it onto my phone, to make it seem like it was coming from my phone, but it really wasn't, because they're trying to literally make it look like I was involved in this stuff so that they can make me take the fall for their ritual sacrifices of people and shit. Okay, I don't do any of that shit, you know what I mean? But they were trying to manipulate the technology to such an extent to make it look like that. Whoever this is like wearing a light on their head. I'll stop and watch them. Boom. You see that? Boom delay. It literally looks like a being with a light on its head. They're walking their dog. Oh, this is a great time to walk your dog. What, like 4 o'clock in the morning? 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. I wish I had one of those. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that would be cool. Oh, look at that. That person right there is walking over towards the surveillance technology that they've been using to cause a dead zone over here so they can get away with child trafficking. This person is walking over there. Like they're going to check it out. And I think what happened is because I walked over there, I fucked up their shit. And they detected what I was doing. Oh, there's a garbage can over there. This person knows about it. This is probably coming from this house. You guys can't see it. Oh, there it is. That's like their little backyard. See, she's actually going up those rocks. I knew there was some secret passageway that went from there to the back. I had a feeling. I was like, these two houses are connected. And she's literally walking her way up there. What, bitch? I ain't scared of you. You know, face me. I dare you. I ain't scared of you, bitch. I don't know what the fuck is going on around here. And you know what? So because of what we were figuring out is, when we had a finding. Oh yeah, I see that they're totally fucking with their shit. You guys may not be able to see this as well as I can, but you see that flashing light in the distance? It's actually going between red and white, and I think it's because usually they're flashing red when they find something, and then they'll start moving. So like a satellite or a surveillance operator will literally just be like floating, looking like a star. You can't even tell. Like you can't even tell. They just literally like sit still in the sky. And unless you know what you're looking for, like you're probably not going to tell it's a surveillance operator, like for us. And so, but when they find something, they start blinking like that, and then they start moving because they have to go towards whatever anomaly they've detected. So this is what I'm learning throughout all this process as I've been going through this. And I literally, y'all, and it was so crazy about the whole thing too, is I literally I was using my tarot cards to follow this trail the whole time. And this is what we found, y'all. Straight up. Crazy part is that lady literally came walking from all the way down the street, not this house, but all the way down the street, came up to this surveillance spot. And I had you guys, I was doing a reading earlier. I was sitting across the street just observing and doing readings as I was having communications, doing communications with the surveillance operators. And because as far as I could tell, as I was doing basically trying to figure out what the hell is that they've bugged my backpack to track me. From what I heard in a download is that they actually intentionally planted this backpack so that I would pick it up, and it was like a super nice backpack, like practically brand new. And it was just so funny because it said solo on it, like solo, like you got to do this alone. You know what I mean? Kind of shit. Because it occurred to me too, like the employees of the United States, they really can't. They are literally stuck in a monopoly. And it literally occurred to me like, and nobody else is going to do this, and nobody else can do this. I'm the only one who can do this because I'm the only one who fucking knows about it and has the legal position. But it was funny. So I'm sitting over here across the street, just doing my cards, reading and praying, you know, interacting with the surveillance operators. And just to get my confirmations, they usually blink once or twice, depending on if it's a yes or a no. And actually, multiple blinks usually means there's a lot of answers. And it typically means like there's a lot of people involved. That's just pretty much what we boil it down to. But anyway, I just thought that was some crazy ass shit. Because I was literally sitting over here thinking to myself, I had this feeling that there was some sort of secret passageway from this little opening space to that house up there. And I kept thinking, I was like, somebody in that house up there, because it's a dead zone house. I got confirmation that it's a dead zone house. That's why it's all blacked out, no lights are on, nobody's home. But it's not that. It's because it's a cover-up. They want to make it look like nobody's home, but they really are. They're doing their satanic rituals in there, probably in the backyard or something like that. They usually like to do this in the dark. I did find another location where they had actually, it was the same thing. It was a dead zone house. No lights, looked like nobody was home. Nobody, you know, like they're out of town or something, you know what I'm saying? But they were in the backyard in a tent. And a very, not just some random ringity-dingity tent. Like this was like a circus tent almost. It was fucking crazy to even see. But in all of my, yeah, I'm seeing Azrael. Is that Azrael? Yeah, you guys, I've seen Azrael a few times tonight. Actually, at first it kind of scared me when I first saw Azrael. So if you guys don't know anything about Azrael, so Azrael is the angel of death, and he is appointed by the divine essentially to take the souls to the other life. So it makes sense that Azrael is here. that I've seen Azrael a couple of times. Every turn that I took, I had to do a basically test it to see which way I should go. Depending on what the reading was, is determined which way I went at that road or that street or wherever I was located. And then it would tell me what was in that direction. And you guys, it was amazing. This was the most amazing experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like, even if I really am just fucking crazy and out of my mind and I was not talking to military operatives and extraterrestrials, like, this was one hell of a trip, and it was fucking fantastic. Like, I sure as hell enjoyed that shit. I'm actually gonna just start walking, but I did actually discern that there was a connection between that spot. You guys can barely see it, but between that spot and the house just above it, you guys can't see it. But as I was sitting here, it was literally right below the Little Dipper. Like, the Little Dipper was marking it at the exact same time that I was there, y'all. And the astral bodies were literally telling me everything I needed to know. In fact, part of the reason we even found this is because I located the constellation Scorpio, and I followed the tail. I noticed something about the tail, and I made intuitive inferences based on that. And that's literally how we found all of this stuff, through using my tarot cards and following the constellations, following spiritual indicators through Morse code, which we basically, I'll be walking along, and I was talking out loud pretty much the whole time I was doing this, just as an FYI. Just because it actually made it, I wanted to talk out loud so that the operatives could hear me. Because you guys don't realize, like, you could just be walking along the sidewalk and literally the military can pick up on your conversation. Like, seriously. Whether you're talking out loud or you're on your phone, none of that shit matters. Okay? They can literally hear everything you're saying. There's actually some technology that has been implanted in some people, and the military can literally talk to them, like, in their head. People go crazy because they don't know this is happening, because there was some medical experience. So I'm going to go back down this street. I'm going to go the way that I came, for the most part. I want to take the shortest way possible to the main street, but that way I can kind of give you guys a little bit of like a, hey, this is the short of the story. I am looking forward to, like, getting the feedback. Yeah, so whatever, they had a formation through here earlier. I still see it, but it's shifted. It's pointing in a different direction now. It's not so much on this part of the street. But everywhere I was going, y'all, I had to be in the vicinity because I have the frequency that disturbs their firewall. It breaks down their firewalls and it disrupts their electronics. Y'all, it was so crazy too, because I'm sitting over here fucking tripping my balls out thinking, okay, keep an eye on this, between this time and this time, watch, there's going to be a shit ton of activity up in this area, because Scorpio being the sign of death this time of year and everything else, these people are worshiping these old archaic forms of, deities such as this. So this was an area we were coming through that was extremely dark. We determined it was a dead zone. The light is flashing on and off, which we decided essentially that we got 2 dead zone houses on both sides, except for this one where the lights are low, right out front. I picked up on a rapist, actually, right in this area. And there was actually a dead zone house right there, a dead zone house right there. So there's literally 3 dead zone houses right around this one house that has low lights on. Okay, but anyways, some people might not see that as significant, but if you're seeing it with like spiritual eyes, like the way that I see things, you understand more like why you would look at it in that way. Okay, yeah, I got surveillance following me out. I told them to hook me up with a ride. Is that surveillance right there? Yeah. I had one of these surveillance operators, dude. They literally, like, oh my gosh, like, whoever that was, like, I know that person, whoever that was, whatever it was, loved me. Like, was having a blast. Like, I don't think they ever seen anything like this before in their entire life. Okay, so one of the other things that we did do was a little bit of color coding. Everything in the occult is all symbolic. So once you guys realize that, it makes it a whole lot easier to figure things out. So down this street, we saw a red light. I did a reading on it. I don't know if you can see the red light if we pass it. Red really represents death, y'all. It also has to do with the Republic, has to do with blood. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I see it. So, and you know what's so crazy? Right when I saw this too, y'all, no freaking joke, there was already a surveillance officer right here. In fact, it's right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can I get the, yeah, see they blink? Can I get like a really bright light just so that they can see? Like something really bright, please. But they blink their lights, and they do it according to Morse code. One of the things I did notice though, there's one right there. I think that might be the one I was dealing with earlier, because that one has, you can tell if they're facing you and actually actively surveillancing you, or if they're surveillancing in another direction, based on the light. They'll literally shine the light right on you if they're directly surveillancing you. So, and then the light, oh, there's another shooting star. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I did. So every time I see a shooting star, I've likened it to essentially somebody's died and their spirit's been released. Okay? And they're either ascending into heaven. Okay, that's what I think it is that they're going to heaven, if you want to know the truth. Okay, that's my opinion. I believe that the evil spirits actually die. So this was a red and green light. So about the red and green light, so one of the things that we were talking about is how the lights on people's homes can actually be indicators, because the occult people, so you can see a red light flashing in that truck. This is a truck. You guys might not be able to tell because it's black and it's dark out here, but there's a red light flashing in that truck. We determined that some of these red lights, it's just right there in the front. But anyway, some of these lights flashing in these trucks are actually some sort of electronic signaling device that these people are involved in the occult, especially if it's a red light. But the green and the red light was symbolic of the pain, basically stabbing these people in the heart. When they do these ritual sacrifices, they stab them in the heart in some of their rituals. Okay. And that's the pain that's inflicted to the heart. Okay, because the heart is green until it's basically stabbed, and that's when the blood comes out, so it turns to red. So these were what you would call spiritual indicators that, you know what, some of these people may or may not realize that they're displaying. You know, and then this house right here was interesting to me because it had, basically there's a camera, surveillance camera, that can even see me from the street. It turns red when somebody walks by, and I'm on the street. I'm not even on the property. I'm on the street and they can see me. So here was another one which had colored lights. Now mind you, there is they have to do the surveillance and all the scanning and all that stuff to gather all of the data and the evidence from the investigation. But so just because somebody has lights on their house doesn't necessarily mean they're part of the occult, but it also doesn't mean that they're not a part of the occult. Okay, so in any case, this house with the green is the heart on the front. Okay, this is a green light. Neon green light. That one also represents the heart, but see in the back of the house, see on the front, it looks good in terms of the color, right? Oh, it's a beautiful green heart, right? Somebody who has a green in their heart chakra is, you know, healthy, so to speak. But in the back, it's blue. See, people don't understand blue has a significant meaning, extremely significant. Okay, there's so many details of this like excursion that I can't even remember all of them, y'all. There was way too much. This house right here, the lights have been on all night they've been on, and I kept thinking, I was like, you know, people who's up all night, those are the people you might want to go like, like, why are they up all night? Why are their lights on like that? You know what I'm saying? one of the things we came to realize is that some of the people who, once we came into their electronic environment and we disturbed the communications, they started freaking out. They started acting up. So this house over here, you guys can't see it, but this is where I saw Azrael. And then I saw like an apparition of a child literally hanging from the tree. And I saw so many spirits. There's another one. Oh, it's a dog. Somebody's walking their dog. But anyways, I saw so many spirits. They're like shadows moving around. I'm not going to go all the way because I'm going to stop right here so I can show you all that I was going through. But yeah, these people, when they came out, it's because I got close, we disrupted their signal. And when we disrupted their signal, yes, I see you, hi. There is a spirit over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay. This is when I saw Azrael over that way and we were trying to decide which direction to go. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's right there in the middle of the sidewalk. Okay. I'll try to zoom in on it just so you guys can get... it was actually some sort of spirit or entity, okay, that I was like, I'm not going over there. So I decided not to go in that direction. But it was not only for the reason of the spiritual entity of whatever that was, which was a shadow, you guys, it was a shadow. But see, you see these things in the fluctuations of the light and the dark. And if you can see these things like I can, you'd be like, oh shit. So, but earlier it was a little bit more creepy. It literally looked like, some creepy ass shit. But the people came out from this house. They were tripping out. They both left. I did a reading on the van that was out in front. I took pictures of it, and got confirmations in my cards that essentially, yes, this is a child trafficking house. Okay, they're directly across from the Mormon church. And then there was this vehicle that was sitting out. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it was sitting out, and it is still sitting out in front of the church. And we're just over here asking ourselves, like, why is anybody parked in the church like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on here? What are they doing, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning at the church? Questions like that kind of makes you stop and go, that's weird, right? But the other reason why I did not go in that direction was because of the constellation. The constellation Scorpio that was to the northeast. My cards, and this is what's so weird, y'all, is my cards were actually leading me in that direction long before I discovered that the constellation was that in that part of the sky. And once I connected those dots, I was like, oh, okay. So we were actually following the constellation and the stars. We were literally following the stars itself. Anyways, that aberration also looks like a spirit being that's like bent over, like crying or something. Whatever, but it looks strange. That's all I gotta say. So, but yeah, that's the energy we picked up on that house. And then we saw this church, and we just let them know straight up, like, hey, you know what, sorry to break it to you like this, but the Mormon church is a front for a child trafficking pedophile ring. You're just gonna have to suck it up and buttercup, because it's the truth. Anybody who was riding a motorcycle last night was totally suspect in this whole thing. A lot of this had to do with two military, one was a federal agent and the other one was a state officer, or a city officer rather. And that's what was going on, was the federal government was investigating a state officer. But it turned out it all connected to everything. Pretty much all of the businesses, like churches and everything. So we picked up on children coming through here being killed. And then this one also has a flashing red light. You may or may not be able to tell because it's dark. I see it. Okay. I also did pick up on a child being in that vehicle as well. So in the van across the street, it was multiple. Because they've been running this scam for a while. You guys are going to trip balls when you hear some of this shit. I saw another shooting star over in that direction. So y'all, when I discovered that we were actually tracking the Scorpio, that was what was tripping me out the whole time. I was like, oh shit, we're literally following this Scorpio, because this all started with this Scorpio dude, right? So it's just so crazy how, you know, I just started out like praying, meditating, using my intuition to determine which direction to go. And I read every movement. So every time something happened, somebody went by, I was like, okay, what's going on with this? And what we came to discover was that most of the activity that was going on was a result of the human trafficking that was going on in the middle of the night with these rituals, okay, that these people were doing, that we basically found up on the hill over here in Ogden, okay, because that's what it is at this point, as far as I'm concerned. And I got the confirmation that they got what they needed. That the surveillance operators got the information that they needed. Just by me being there, my presence was all it took. And then because I have tracking devices, and not just that, I have something to the effect in this backpack that I found that was planted specifically for me, was a surveillance gear. So the intention was to use the backpack for surveillance, and it was also a way for them to, if they needed to signal jam anyone nearby me because they were stalking me, they were able to do that. That actually happened on a couple occasions where I literally, y'all, it was so crazy. I was literally walking down the street where there was practically nothing, okay? Like practically fucking nothing. I was walking over by the DATC, or OWATC, and there's no homes or nothing. It's just this like wide open space. And then the school, we discovered that they were doing the human trafficking at the school. This was literally like right before 3 a.m. Like there was somebody going through with a golf course or golf cart a couple of times, and I think whoever it was, they noticed me, so they pulled over and stopped and just shined their light on me. And I called out to the surveillance operator and told them to stop this guy, because whatever it was he was projecting towards me, it sounded like running water, but it was scary, and it got louder and louder and louder. And I was literally, every time a car went by, y'all, I would hide on purpose, just in case it was one of these cyber stalkers trying to track me or follow me. I didn't want them to know where I was going. I know it sounds strange as fuck, but like, that was totally happening. But it's just because I wanted them to not know where I was or where I was going, in case they wanted to try to, like, you know, kill me on the way, because I'm on my way to expose them. I was literally on a witch hunt. Like, literally. I just went on a witch hunt. For reals, y'all. It was crazy ass shit. Crazy. But we did find the evidence, right? Surveillance team. Yep, they're still there too. I can see them because they're the ones that are brightest right now. So, but anyways, you guys can't see it, but it's right over there along that street. But when I realized that we were following the constellation Scorpio, I was like, oh my gosh, we're following the tail, because it occurred to me that the tail was where they were sexually, this Scorpio's energy was sexually connected to all of these other people. And that was evidenced in, on the one side of the foot, there was all of these stars, but on the other side, there was no stars. So on the one hand, it's like he was killing people. There was no love. There was nothing. On the other hand, he had his group, you know, his people, the kids that weren't being killed, they were just being tortured, you know, shit like that. Like, but on the other hand, it was just death. It was like this crazy thing to see. But that's why I went the other way, because I knew that going the direction of the tail, which was showing me all these stars that were connected to it, was going to lead me to these people, these traffickers, okay, his little network of people. And we were able to conclude too that these stars are literally connected to every being, like literally. And it was like every single one of these is like, every single one of them is like a living being on this earth kind of shit. Like, it was wild. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like this whole thing was just like, oh my gosh. It was like, if we follow these stars, we're gonna be able to find these people, because it's literally telling us where these people are. That's where their light is. Their crown, you know, past their crown into the atmosphere. Like, that's where they're anchored. you know, to the spirit realm. And the stars were literally showing us that. It was so amazing. Like, this whole thing was just like, really blew my mind. But as I went and I was following the tail, it was supposed to point me to where I was supposed to go. And this is why we found everything that we found. No joke. It literally took me to the cemetery. So you guys, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a cemetery. Okay? A bunch of dead people. So the tail of the Scorpio constellation led me to the cemetery. No joke. Hey, there's surveillance. You guys see him? Give me a blinkety blink blink so the people at home know this is serious stuff. He's just gonna sit there. No? Come on. Just do it. Show him. For the camera, just give me one for Morse code. Just one blink. Y'all, I'm not getting any blink. But I can tell this is surveillance. Like, I can just tell. That's not a star. And even if it was, that's one extremely bright star. That actually could be a star. But I don't think so. I think it's surveillance. It's moving. It's moving a little too fast for me. So the surveillance operators, they can kind of go back and forth at will, like, is what I've noticed. They can sit still in one spot. They can move extremely, extremely slow. And then they can all of a sudden just turn and take off and go in the other direction. Like, for reals. Like, that's what I was noticing with a lot of these operators, where it would literally just be sitting still and then boom, it would either disappear, the whole light would just disappear and you couldn't even see it at all, or it would literally, it was like it turned around, started flashing red, and it was going in another direction. It's like, I knew it was surveillance, like military surveillance, y'all. It couldn't have been anything other than that. Like, I wasn't just high as fuck. Like, no, that was real shit I saw. But I was also inviting the presence of the spirits. I even a couple of times was like, oh yeah, a demon, because there was a couple of times where I could tell like a demon was fucking around with me. You know, trying to make me afraid and shit. And I just wasn't having it. I was just seeing tons of like entities. There was tons of like shadow, you could call them shadow people or whatever. Things that look like shadows that would just move real quick, you know. So this is where the school was. There was a y'all, this was what's so crazy about this was I sat right over here in this field a couple of times, because every time a car went by, I would go run down into the dip and lay down. And I was all dressed in blacks, you know, dark colors, so nobody'd be able to see me. So I was camouflaged, you know. And when I did this, I did it just so that whoever was going by, if they were one of these stalkers or traffickers, they weren't gonna, you know, try to harm me on my way out, basically. I'm gonna go straight to the main road, and then I'll just try backtrack through my story. But anyways, whoever it was, they ended up going around in there a couple of times. And I started doing a reading on it, and sure enough, what I picked up was that this was a high-ranking officer at the school who was actually involved with one of the military operatives. So we discovered while we were going throughout the investigation that actually there were some of these military operatives who were involved in the signal jamming so that the other officers could not get through. And that's why I had to do it, because I was able to spiritually detect which direction to go. And once I was able to get close enough within this vicinity with the gear I have, and not just that, but my frequency, that we were able to break through their firewalls and disrupt their signals, so that they couldn't do this anymore. They couldn't go undetected anymore. And so I confirmed every time with the surveillance operators that they were able to get what they needed, that they saw it, and that there was evidence that they found it. And on a few occasions, somebody kept pulling up. Like, it was like they were following me the whole time. It was like if they found something or evidence, all of a sudden a car would pull up, and it was like they were just sitting there waiting for me. They just like pull up and have the lights on, like just waiting for me to walk past or something so they could see me. So what I realized was that there was both. There was the Air Force, which is doing the surveillance operation, and then there was the U.S. Army and federal agents, and like they were going everywhere. Like, it was crazy, and it was all being confirmed in my tarot cards. that they were watching me. They were going with me throughout this whole thing. I orated it the whole time. I was literally talking the whole time. I probably looked crazy as fuck. And I just didn't care. I was like, this, to me, it was a great spiritual exercise. And I just thought, I had the best time of my life. Like, that was the coolest experience I ever had. I saw so many shooting stars at such specific places and times, y'all, that it was undeniable that it was the cosmos literally speaking to me to confirm my intuition of what it was, that I was perceiving, what I was feeling. And I was literally being led by all of these signs, y'all. And that's how we ended up there at the mountain, at that place, because that's where the tail was pointing, literally. The tail of the Scorpio was pointing right there. And so because we know these people are involved in old, ancient, archaic witchcraft practices that are based on astrology, by the way, this is actually how they believe. That's why they do certain things on certain days. And some people don't even realize that. You guys might not know this, but you're operating on a 12-month calendar. That's not even the calendar that the elites are operating off of. They're operating off of the cosmic calendar, the sky, the planets, the constellations, and all of this stuff. And that's why they have been able to effectively keep most of the population in the dark, because they don't realize they're of this higher order, having this higher knowledge, and keeping everybody else in a schedule to serve them. But the problem was they were using this knowledge to commit horrible, heinous crimes, this child trafficking. What we've discovered is it was actually up on the mountain. That's where the military officers were doing, and I'm talking high-ranking military officers like the president, okay? And the people that he has to answer to above him, who are basically a cult, okay? It's just a cult, just put it like that. And he's they're his controller. And so we saw planes going up over there. So not only was surveillance going over there and just sitting and watching and waiting, but then we saw an actual aircraft kind of go over the mountain, oh, who was that? Must have been some sort of special military clearance. So at the top of the mountain is where they were doing these sacrifices, these major, events with these high-ranking people of what they call the elites, right? The military elites, where they do these ritual sacrifices, basically killing people, and they extort these people through the public trust. So basically, they get a bunch of money for doing it. At the end of the day, they're literally getting paid to do this with our money. This is where the problem comes into play, because it's a bunch of extortion. It's nothing holy about it at all. These people are narcissists, and they've abused the natural order, and this is why they're in trouble. This is why I even had to come over here to fuck up their shit again, because they just they're retarded, and I'm tired of these fucking pieces of shit. Well, so this guy was running around on the golf cart, did reading on him, found out he's a higher order high priestess, witch, whatever you want to call it, occultist, who was connected in with the surveillance operator, with one of the surveillance operators, because we knew that there's people who are in the military who are also involved in this. They're the minority, of course. You guys don't have to worry. Most of the people who are working for the government had no idea this was going on. They were in an illusion because they were under witchcraft by these Satanists, okay? So give them a break. That's why we had to come through and be like, hey, wake up, smell the coffee, here's a reality check for you. This is why we had to do all this, so that we could prove to these people, and not just that, but open their eyes to the deceit and the illusion that they've been under this whole time. That essentially, oh boy, it's a long story, but now they're seeing the truth about it, and things are going to be done. I can't wait to hear the feedback in my YouTube, y'all, today. I'm going to share it because I know that these military operatives have been communicating with me through downloads on YouTube, which I've been very thankful for, because they've been providing training that actually, you know what, you only really get that training if you're in the CIA or the FBI or you're a military officer or a federal agent. And because of what I've elected to do, they have been gracious enough to give me that information. And I'm talking like high level information. Like, here's something I need you to crack because you're the only one who, because my precision is so precise that it's like a laser beam. Okay. And this is why they have a hard time hiding from me, because my eyes sees through it all. There really is not a goddamn thing anybody can hide from me. And they might think that they're hiding it from me, and I might play coy, but at the end of the day, I'm sussing your ass out and I'm evaluating every aspect of you. And it's hard for anybody to get anything past me, especially at this point with what I know, what I've been through. I am indestructible. Like, thank you. I am. Like, I am what you said I am. And I see that. So, but anyway, so once I was able to call out to the one operative about that, we had to call in a new operative to surveillance the operative to figure out if they were involved in it. Turns out they were. Once they fixed that, they were able to dim his lights, because he was shining lights on me really bright from far away. Because it's like they knew I was in the field, but they just didn't know where I was in the field. And I kept disappearing because every time a car went by, I would get down on the ground, which was down below in like kind of a little divot, right? So that they couldn't see me. I didn't want anybody to see me because I'm obviously looking crazy as fuck out here tonight, talking to the sky, you know, and yelling at people for human trafficking and shit. So I started yelling at the whole school. I was like, get the fuck out. I saw some stuff over at the cemetery. Most of it was spiritual, though. I didn't see anybody at the cemetery. I just mostly saw just these different abstractions of light that appeared like beings that were hovering over stars. I weren't sure if they were protectors of these stars or if they were the representations of the satanic people who have killed them, because I got to thinking that whole friggin' what do you call it? Sorry guys, I'm actually really tired. I've been up all night doing this assignment. So, but anyways, the whole cemetery was a result of this child trafficking that's been going on in Utah by a Scorpio, nonetheless. Crazy shit, y'all. Like crazy ass shit. This was supposedly, according to what I was picking up in my with the intuition of my cards, it was this Scorpio, y'all, that I guess I met online. He got obsessed with me. I was obsessed with him, actually, and I never really wanted to let him go until I did start seeing like weird red flags that I was like, something ain't right about this guy, you know, like he made me feel kind of unsafe at some point. And so, but the story, the narrative is correct on social media that a lot of these intuitive readers have picked up on. That actually he's the one who ditched me because I wouldn't give in to his demands because they were always so like something that would put me at risk or something that would make me too vulnerable to the point where I could easily get fucking hurt or even killed. You know what I mean? So it's almost like every time he asked me to do something, I would be living on the edge of death, you know? And I didn't want to take that risk because of my daughter. I wanted to try to keep her safe, so I wasn't about to put her at risk, you know? And I think that's why a lot of this happened, because he became so jealous. Like, he became so jealous because I was giving more attention to my daughter and her safety than his selfish whims. And it turns out, you know, all of these public officers thought he was just such a great guy, you know, but the whole time he was projecting onto me to basically do this trafficking, to sacrifice me, because he had some sort of alliance with my sister. It's something to do with my sister or my brother, to basically kill me off for my inheritance. Because somehow along the line, this all came about because not only did the public officers know, these corrupt ones already knew about me, so it was part of the reason why they were targeting me to begin with, but my family was also involved with it, so they all kind of just did it together, you know? And so, in any case, Very interesting. And this was the Scorpio, who supposedly his name was Mike. He drove a green motorcycle. I'm not sure if he was an officer for Clearfield City or he just had some sort of association with officers in Clearfield City, or if he did something for Clearfield City. I don't really know, to be honest with you. This is just the information that essentially I've gathered over all this time, you know? So this is what it seems to be, so to speak. But just with this whole Scorpio constellation thing and following the tail and doing all that, and how, you know, if I was going to turn right down the street, if I looked at the scorpion symbol, to the right on the Scorpio's foot, there was nothing. And that's when I saw the apparition of Azrael, the angel of death. And honestly, what I saw in the video was not what I saw with my natural eyes. The camera actually captures different light angles and different, you know, aspects of the light, whereas your natural eye sees more of that, you know, and the camera can't capture all that perfectly. So what I saw, it really looked like the Grim Reaper. Like, I'm not even gonna fucking lie. And I just got this download not to go in that direction because I wasn't gonna find anything except for a bunch of dead people, or dead, because if we were looking for living children who were still alive, I wasn't going to follow that path, because that implied that the children were already dead or the people were already dead. There were no stars, you know, and so I was going to go with the right side. So I ended up going to the right, which another reason why I did was because to the left was that house with the weird van that I picked up on, that those two people, once I broke their firewall, they were surveillancing me illegally. So they realized I was in the area. They started freaking out. That's why they came out of the house and left real quick. And in my reading, it was because they knew they were fucking caught. I had the hangman and, you know, two swords. These people were tripping balls. They were tripping balls. I'm like seriously like sitting across the street at the church, just going off, you know, about all this shit, you know. I was just interpreting my reading out loud mostly, you know, and then getting confirmations from the surveillance operators with the Morse code and the light blinking. Okay. So, and then not only that, you know, if all of a sudden they moved and shifted and went in a different direction, and it was usually the direction I just came from, because something was detected, they had to go and, like, you know, because once they detected an anomaly, it gave them a reason to go closer to the area, because the closer they get to the area, the more they're able to surveillance, the deeper they're able to scan. So they would like literally post up in certain places within the sky for a particular reason, because they had found something significant that they had to stay there, surveillance and scan, you know, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, man, there was another house I told you about, the tent in the backyard. Y'all, that was a dead zone house. That's when the first time I saw a shooting star throughout the whole night, shot right over the house, right when I was asking for confirmation. But I wanted confirmation from the military operatives, with some sort of, because usually what was happening was that if something was detected, somebody was pulling up and parking. Just parking, keeping their lights on, or just chilling in their car. I gotta get going. I'll finish this. Oh, please don't tell me I missed this. Oh, I didn't. They're coming back. I got time. So, but anyway, but by this time, y'all, I was seeing so much of the surveillance operatives, like, and when I started talking to them, I started telling them they need to bring in more operatives. They need to bring in more operatives. It got to the point where I told them they need to send in every operative so that they can evaluate every one of their officers, just because the whole state needs to be audited and evaluated, quo warranto. So I told them they can't even send me an officer unless they've evaluated the officer, that they, under quo warranto, that they have full credentials, they're legal, they're bonded, they're insured, everything's good to go before they send them. And then they have to be supervised by a higher ranking officer just to make sure that they're not privateering, you know? that they're able to use some discernment in the situation and not just blindly follow some jackass's orders. And that's what we ran into over here when I was in between the cemetery and the OWATC on that street. Was I got stuck there because whoever was driving that golf course in the middle of the night, right before 3 a.m., which we knew it was going to be a high traffic time. Turned out, I warned him between midnight and 3 a.m. it's going to be high traffic. We're going to see a lot of people coming through here. I told him it'll probably die down between 3 and 6. Between 3 and 6 is when we saw so many people coming down from the mountain. I kept saying it's because the ritual's done. Or not only that the ritual's done, I have disturbed it. And so everybody's leaving. I kept picking up on the 10 of Wands, not just the 10 of Wands, but I think it's the 9 of Wands, where it's basically the chaos, competition, fighting, all that kind of thing. There was a lot of conflict within this group, so a lot of people left the ritual because I disturbed the firewall, I disturbed the frequencies. People started waking up. That was another thing I heard. A lot of the military officers, because a lot of these people are public officers that are Masons, okay? They started to wake up to what was actually going on, and they didn't want any part of it. Every single car that went past, I read their energy from the tarot cards, and most of them seen something. But so once I called the guy out on the golf course, whatever it was they were projecting at me, I told the surveillance officer and the surveillance operator, this was the one I really liked, man, because this one right here, like, was really conversating with me with those lights. Like, they was expressive. Some of the other ones, like, they would blink just a little bit. I had one who was like, they would blink a little bit, but it was like they were so intent on watching every detail that they did not communicate hardly at all. Like, I really had to kind of like say, okay, you gotta give me confirmation here so that I know that we're having this communication, because they communicate through Morse code. That's how they do it in the military. And this is old shit. They've been doing it. And I wasn't able to really hear them too much through transmissions. I have in the past, but I really didn't hear them too much. I was mostly talking, and that's probably why. And so, like I said, I orated the whole thing, because I know that through the electronical wires that are going above overhead, the closer you are to them, the more that they can pick up on your signal. So I was walking along a lot of those wires because I knew that they would be able to hear what I said more clearly. And I did confirm that, they confirmed that. And so it was very, 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 very informative, very interesting, very enlightening. Very, very fascinating, just to say the least. Like, that whole area from that surveillance point with those blinking blue lights and upward is all dead zone territory where they're trafficking kids. These highly, they're either government officials, religious leaders, or just extremely rich people who have gotten rich through, bullshit means, whether committing crimes or just providing a shitty service that nobody really needs. We just like because we have bad habits. That's pretty much what it was. Everything after that point, it was like, oh, okay, it's a dead zone. It was all dead zone. So, but boy, I'll tell you what, that was probably the most interesting experience I think I've ever had. I'm pretty sure I still have them right there. But I'm not 100% sure. I've actually seen this one before. I'm not sure if this is like a regular routine. Because I have seen this one before. This was actually when I first started doing it. It's because I saw this same one in the sky, and when I first had mentioned something, they like turned the light off for a second, and I was like, "Holy shit, are you listening?" Because it occurred to me they had this shit on my on my bag. I was like, oh, "Okay, well, if you did, show me again," and they did. Sure enough, I was like, "Damn." Yeah, they're starting to move, anyways. You can tell it's not normal, like. What do they call that? Rotation? Earth's rotation? Yeah, it's just not. You can tell when it's moving out of the natural rhythm. But anyway, it was just crazy, just the most crazy experience ever. And I don't care what anybody has to say about me. As far as I'm concerned, we cracked the case, y'all. Like, for reals. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They was like, show me what you got. I'm like, all right, let's go. You know, like, oh my gosh, man. I really wish I had just had the whole thing recorded, but I think that because it was all in the investigation under surveillance, it was like, oh, okay, yeah. Every last bit of that was seen, recorded, documented, no doubts about any of it, you know? I did actually pick up on, they were able to, some of these kids were they found them. Some of them were severely, basically injured. I gotta go because my ride's here. But y'all, I'll finish this up later on a live, just to have it. You guys gotta hear it. It's just wild. So I'll talk to you guys.